Welcome to Close the Door and Come Here, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast with heavy leanings towards our two favorite characters, Jaime and Brienne. Hi, I'm Clotho, and you can find me at Clotho Spindle on Blue. Today, I'm joined with Kama.
Hi, I'm Kama, and you can find me at Kama Splice on Blue Sky.
And Guile.
Hey, I'm Guile. You can find me at Guile and Subterfuge on Blue Sky.
We're going to be discussing the Windblown chapter in A Dance with Dragons, and all usual trigger warnings for any potential discussions of violence and or rape. We start out, word has passed through the Windblown camp, even before the tattered prince, who's their captain, just general, had commanded that they would march for Yungai for provisions. So basically everybody knew beforehand that this was going to happen. And the next stop was going to be Marine. To fight Dany's army. And Quentyn Martell's now pretending to be a squire named Rob. And it's just like these names keep changing, and they're the things that they're doing in the group from last chapter. And Archibald Ironwood is now called Green Guts. I think he's supposed to be squiring for Green Guts, and then Jarrus Drinkwater is now called Dornish Gerald or Drink. Which is, to me, feels too close to his original name. I don't know why they went in both ways.
Also, this is like a problem because, like, what we care about Quentyn at this point is kind of on the low side, and just paying attention to all this stuff is hard enough as it is. But now we got to change everybody's names.
Now we got old Jerry Imbibe over there, and
because I remember from the last chapter that I was on about this, that they were talking about, they had already had to change his role. So it's like he was this, and then he was this, and now he's this. So yeah, it's a lot to. So this company, this Windblown company, has actually kind of seems compared to a lot of the companies which seem to come and go pretty quickly and dissolve or, appear. And this has a 30-year history and with the same commander, this tattered prince. So they mentioned that he's in his 60s, but he's still standing tall and straight and gets the impression that he can get things done. He's been there long enough. Quentyn's in this terrible place where physically Astapor was horrendous, but just in his mind, he's just glad to be kind of leaving these horrors behind. He has a little discussion with someone who's been through it before because it felt like a real fight to him, but they were basically saying, no, this is just butchery, not a battle. Because, Quentyn's only experience, as he says, is practice yard and the tourney ground. This was just, half the people sound like were dying of diseases. All the infighting. It's just things were on fire. It sounds like a nightmare. More than they all sound nightmarish, but this was particularly hellish description that he went through about his time in Astapor. And Astapor's about, they said it mentions being 100 leagues to Yunkai, and then another 50 leagues from Yunkai to Marine. And they obviously have to stop along that way. And it takes them, he was discussing, I think they said about 7 to 10 days, depending on how fast they were riding.
100 leagues is 345 miles.
Okay.
On horse or whatever. So that's not them in their car. It's a long ass journey.
Right. And I think that even that 7 days was like, that's hard riding. That wasn't even like a leisurely. So, yeah.
Well, they said like the Yunkai people that they had with them were like way behind after a day, right?
Yeah. And he's kind of, oh man, like I didn't write notes about that, but there is some like, I don't know, the descriptions of some of this stuff. I'm like, George, like he goes on these really like, what is it, like, I don't know how many pages because I have my font bigger, but it was multiple pages long of describing. It was like the next trying to out, like he's describing it in the old fashioned like sideshow type thing going on here. And like, he's just this band of people together and motley crew.
Yeah,
he gets very caught up in all of these. Like, I get it. It's a fantasy, and and it's cool, right? Like some of this world building stuff is cool, but it sometimes reaches a point where that's not. How is that even possible?
Yeah.
And it's so much
the people
of
with
it.
the stilts, it was the people with the stilts, like fighting.
Yeah, the stilt people were
just chop
a bit much.
The stilts.
like one, it's like. One or two cool, fantastical things go so much further than, chapter after chapter full of this stuff where you're like, I don't even understand how that would work, Like, give me one or two things to go, wow, it's amazing.
And it's like, it doesn't have anything to like, to me, this whole chapter is like, there's the, the switcheroo at the end, but I mean, basically this chapter is more about like Quentyn and like all of the shit that he's going through. And like, you don't need all this other elements. It's more like, I just read this chapter and I'm like, Doran, you fucking horrible father. Like, this shit is what you're putting your son through for some revenge fantasy from 20 years ago. You're gonna, like, destroy your child. Because I mean, that's what he's. It just really bothered me that like this, like the reasons why he's going through this seem so stupid.
Yeah, and that's like directly a good point, because my next note was like his own father. Like, he had been hearing all these rumors about Dany, and his own father had never mentioned the possibility. Like, he's wondering if he should marry Dany, or the possibility that she could marry like father. And he's thinking these things, and that's like his. Why would his dad? You think of it's valid that he's thinking this. Why would his dad send him to go through all this for someone that they do not know anything about? The closer he's getting, the worse it sounds.
I have to think that there is a more economical way for George to write half of the last two books.
I mean, and this is, I mean, especially because of what happens to Quentyn. So like, none of this has any lasting consequence because we're gonna lose him.
Yeah.
So like, Quentyn could either not exist, like or just show up,
or we could hear about some of this from other characters,
from
like,
Barristan.
Right.
Yeah, like this could be, rumors are reaching of something, or like it could be done in a much more artful way than what's going on here.
And like,
all this does is make me angry.
Right, like I'm angry for this poor kid.
Yeah.
And I like him.
Like you said, it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah. And if it did, I mean, if he was going to stay on as a character, I mean, I don't know where there's a role for him, but like then maybe, but it's just like, this is just what more insight for us that war is horrible. Yeah, I got it.
Well, I know, right? Like, we need it. Oh my gosh.
See, I don't really understand it. I don't really understand the purpose of it. And I know people are like, well, some journeys are unsuccessful. Yes.
But I mean, this is the problem with these books, right? We get all of these characters who we haven't really known of before in any meaningful way. And we're thrust into their heads, which, okay. And sometimes it's interesting. And then sometimes it's like, it's so much bloat. And it's so, I'm sorry, we did 3. This is our 3rd SLC chapter in a row. And I would really like to not be an SO. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what we're getting from the SO side of this. And like, Quentyn being the, it's like, Quentyn kind of, it's almost like they're, like he just tagged from Aegon and is going the rest of the way. But then Tyrion is too. And they're all telling kind of some of the same story. And I mean, we get like, kind of the innocent good person, like seeing the horrors of war from Brienne. Like, we already got that story. And I mean, it's, again, I don't dislike Quentyn, and I don't mind him as a character. I just don't know why he's in this book.
Or why we're in his head in this book. Like, again, I think if he were seen through other characters, I think it might be better. Because we could still get that he's a decent kid who's in way over his head. And that could be accomplished.
A decent kid that frees the drag, or whatever they need him to do. But I agree. I just feel like this is maybe the most obvious sign of bloat here.
Yeah.
Well, he's very anxious about their plan to desert. Their plan is to desert the company, and what will happen to them if they're caught between the 3 of them. And one night, he's kind of expressed that. One night they're called to the captain's tent. The tattered prince tells them that they have orders from Yurkaz to hunt down the survivors pouring out of Astapor. And they're supposed to drive them back north or to Marine, or drive them back into Astapor, or north to Marine. And, he's saying half of them have the bloody flux, the other half are already war beaten, so it shouldn't be that hard. and they're sort of sitting around wondering, like, he's thinking to himself, like, what's going on here? And then he says, the Tattered Princess, he's decided to send half of his force, which is 50 patrols of 20 riders each, because they have 2,000 total. He's going to send half of them out to do these runs, and because that's what has been asked of them. But then he's describing now their true mission, which he now says that if they come upon the Dragon Queen's patrols, that's the Second Sons and the Stormcrows, that they, meaning the Windblown that have been sent out, will turn cloak and go over to their side. And Quentyn almost laughs out loud at this turn of luck, because this is what, like, there had been planning, like, a way to get to, into Dany's, ranks to move their way up. And so he can meet with her. And Quentyn sort of it sounds like he's kind of feeling like, okay, this is luck, but then at the same time he's starting to have some misgivings about it as this goes on, because the Tattered Prince is putting Maris in command, thinking that Daenerys would be more accepting of a woman, but he's still warning them to avoid the other companies they're traveling with, which is the Company of the Cat and the Long Lances, which they will not know about this plan, and they could be killed by those other companies if they're caught being deserters, because they don't know about the plan and they're not in on it. And so now the kind of ends where Quentin's just, they're leave, and Quentyn thinks, like, at first he thought this was nice turn of chance, but now he feels like everything has gotten way more dangerous, and that's how that ends. Which, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any thoughts or if we have any mail, whichever one we want to.
I mean, the one thought I'll throw in there is the incident of, or the character of Pretty Maris, who I think, there are kind of like thoughts that, like, maybe that was what Brienne was originally intended, or that could be Brienne's kind of future in a way.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know. I this is not my original thought. It's come up in other episodes, probably from people like Chicky or whatever. But, the idea of this woman warrior who's extremely ugly, who maybe started out with different, ambitions, and who, life has treated really, really badly.
It sounds like she doesn't really give much of a reaction to this and doesn't really care either, or appears to she keeps her, I guess she's holding her cards and not letting them know, poker face, how she feels.
We did have some questions, although I think we may have answered them in some respects. Puck O'Hare from the Discord asks, what do you take from Quentyn's descent into hell?
Like, be better to your kids. Like, don't make your kids fight your battles for you. Like, don't
maybe
sacrifice
your kids into what you're doing. That might be helpful.
Or, like, don't sacrifice. Like, again, like, what the fuck? This is what you're... Because it's like, even if it succeeds, like, he's putting his kid through all... I mean, it's like he's describing, like, what's going to be, like, the genesis of his future PTSD with seeing all this shit in Astapor, and, like, then killing all these people. Like, you want this for your boy? Like, really?
And maybe there was a more effective way of getting to Dany and saying, hey, align with me, or ally with me, marry my son, it'll get you a foothold into Westeros.
Well, and
there's probably a million different ways he could have accomplished that. Did not involve, first of all, antagonizing his daughter, and second of all, not sending his son off into a mission he was grossly incompetent to handle.
Well, and like any advisor with even an ounce of intelligence would have told Dany, yes, Doran is where you're most likely going to find allies. Doran was where she would always have gone first, naturally, is because, that. So, like,
send some envoys. Doran could have sent, I don't know how many qualified people capable of handling this, keeping his son out of harm's way, right? And then,
who he should have sent?
Yeah.
Well, if he would have sent Oberyn, what would have happened?
Yes. But I mean,
that would have been more fun to read.
It's not like this was the only possible way of approaching this.
Like, any of the Sand Snakes would have been fine for this mission as an envoy. And I mean, aren't some of them have mothers from Essos, right? Like that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like, this would have seemed like totally up their alley. Like,
Well, and doesn't Quentyn's mom and Urian's mom, she She's from Essos. I mean, like, again, there are a zillion
back
different
in
ways it's
Essos.
going to work. Yeah.
Right. But to like put your son through hell on this, to put him through hell for this, like through, you're putting him into a endless war for no reason that you have to. And like, I'm assuming Doran knows Quentyn and like knows what he's like. And like, like really, this is like, because like, he seems like a solid, intelligent, good kid, like someone that is not going to do that. This situation is going to hurt him.
Yeah. This is not
like,
where
it's not
he's
like
going to shine.
There's, he doesn't have to scare him straight or toughen him up or any of that shit, like he really doesn't. And it's such a fail. Like he has such a fail for someone whose like whole thing is like, oh, my family must be revenged. He's really treating his family like fucking horribly.
Well, and this is not an effective way to accomplish his revenge. This is it's not like he's even doing some sort of 3D chess thing where by sacrificing his son, he will accomplish what he's been. I mean, it's just ineffective.
Like the whole send the sand snake secretly to King's Landing and like kill Tommen and shit. While I don't approve of that as a plan, if your goal is revenge, that seems like a solid, probably effective revenge plan that, go on. But like, and doesn't actively harm, your son and destroy your relationship with your daughter, which is what he's done. Like, God, like you're like, and I mean, he's meant in these books as some kind of fucking mastermind. And I mean, like, what a dumbass. There's a lot of dumbassery in here. Like when you on your like third reread of these books, you're like, well, shit. You know who I actually if I'm a person in Westeros, I mean, Tommen looks better every freaking day. Because as he grows up, he's going to listen to the Tyrells more than Cersei. And he's a good kid, solid advisors for the most part. I'm thrown in for Tommen.
He's got my vote.
I mean, yeah.
We also had a question from Green Mountain Woman on the Discord. Does anyone but me find Quentyn deeply relatable in his unheroic attempts to do what is expected of us?
Well,
of him?
Yeah,
so many of us can fail at being heroes. Yes, I do. I just question the presentation.
Right. Like, I mean, there's nothing like Quentyn's great. Like, and I mean, yeah, he's great. There's like, he's a good character. He's a great kid. Like, again, I don't know that he belongs in these books.
Or if a lot of the storytelling, I get, like, okay, I get why we get into Cersei's head in Feast. It makes total sense because he needed someone in King's Landing who didn't know all the things, right? You can't get in Marjorie's head, for instance, because she knows too much. I get this. Totally understand why we get in certain characters' heads. But then we get to these books and we start meeting up with these people who haven't really been in the story. And it just adds to it all. And like, again, I know I just said this, but like, if he did have to have Quentyn in Essos, we didn't need to be in his head. This could have been accomplished in a zillion different ways because when we record these episodes, we usually do 3 at a time. And in all 3 of these, we didn't even get into this, and I don't particularly want to, but we hear about this Butcher King, this Cleon guy. Like, you hear from other characters what's going on, right? About these other conflicts. We could have been hearing what's going on about Quentyn through other characters. It would have worked just as well. Sort of like we saw Arya meet Sam. We didn't, we were in Sam's head. We didn't need to be in Arya's head for that particular encounter. Like, you could do this. It could be done. But no, it's just yet another chapter with yet more stuff. And it's just dragging everything down.
Yep.
We did have one more question, but not about the chapter.
Okay.
From somebody named Chicky. I don't know who this is. Why do you think there's universal excitement from A Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones fandom for the new Dunk and Egg show when anticipation for House of the Dragon was so mixed?
I think some of it's time that House of the Dragon came out closer to Game of Thrones, so like the disappointment was still thick. And then I think I feel like the subject matter of House of the Dragon would lead you to think that maybe the showrunners could lean into the most annoying aspects of it. And Duncan Egg is pretty bright, if that's the way to put it.
Even the trailer seemed pretty positive, like happy, and I was like, "Oh wow!" I was like, "Are they really going to do this?" Like, I was worried because I was like, "Are they just doing this to the trailer to suck us in?" Because it seemed a different vibe than others.
It's a different. It's a more. Yeah. There's more charm, I think, and lightness to Duncan Egg, and maybe. I mean, I was encouraged by learning. It looks like they're going to be half-hour episodes, and I mean that also gives me a little bit of hope for some reason.
Yeah.
Less. Well, plus, I think you're right.
Wrong, I hope.
Well, and Duncan Egg are based on actual stories, where House of the Dragon is just based off of, the fake history. So, not necessarily a POV or anything like that to drive it. Whereas here, Dunk is a pretty strong POV to drive this. So I don't, maybe we'll be disappointed, but and I think I guess the casting for House of the Dragon, I think people are fairly excited about too. But the casting for this seems good. Like, I don't know, it's just
I think you're right about time though. Like I haven't watched House of the Dragon because I was so burnt on Game of Thrones that I was just like, I'm canceling my Max. I'm not doing this. Whereas for this, I'm willing to give it a shot because time has passed and it's different people and it's, hopefully not just the one person in the same wig, being passed around from cast member to cast member.
I don't know what they're going to do about the wigs. Like, luckily, some of these Targaryens are dark haired. So, I mean, they've got that.
And Egg is bald, which is great. Right. So, he won't be wearing the,
And then in the media so far, it really seems like they actually cast Dunk as Dunk and Egg as Egg, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, and maybe we just need something like positive in the world.
Yeah,
we need our bread and circuses.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I am looking forward to us rereading the books, the novellas, and I'm especially since it looks like I'm not going to have to subscribe to Max. I'm cautiously optimistic about. Don't pirate, kids. It's bad, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the series.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like I haven't read The Hedge Knight in forever. Like, I know I read The Mystery Knight more recently just because I adore that so much. But The Hedge Knight will be like a relatively new feeling reread, I think. So that'll be kind of exciting.
I couldn't find. I must have gave them away. I couldn't find my hard copies, and I don't have the Kindle, but we have the Audible with Harry Lloyd, and we listened to it.
Oh, and I've heard that's great.
It's excellent. He is such a good
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah, he's great in it. So I'll probably be listening to those, so that'll be fun too.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if this. We'll see how it turns out to be, but the illustrated version of A Feast for Crows will be out November 3rd, I think, 3rd or 4th.
You'll have to let us know how that is.
Yeah, I ordered it.
In the one, right?
Yeah, Storm of Swords was horrible, but then I looked up the artist that was doing Feast, and it looks, his work looked pretty good. So, I'm interested to see what that looks like. So that should also be maybe a yeah. No wins, but we have a book in a series, so there we go.
Well, you can reach us at closethedoorand@gmail.com, on Tumblr at closethedoorandcomehere@tumblr.com. Submit questions to the chapter threads in the Jaime and Brienne subreddit. Follow us on Blue Sky at closethedoorand.bluesky.social. Please review, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and wherever you might listen. And please support us on Patreon at Close the Door. I'm closing the door. Get out.